Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game that was played last year in December in the FIDE World Rapid Championship, in the Blitz Championship. This is from the Blitz section. The game was overlooked by me as it happened in the final round, and we were pretty much only following what was happening. Will Magnus be able to win in the final round or not, if he will be able to overtake Abdusatorov? And as Magnus had 15 points going into the final round, both Daniil and Jan had 13.5 points. None of them could catch up to Magnus. But this game really is a brilliancy. You guys will enjoy it. If you want to check out the actual footage of the game, it's available on ChessBase India's channel. I will put a link to it in the description below. It's really something that you would you definitely want to watch. It's only some 7.5 minutes long, and it will definitely be worth your time. But I will try to properly dissect what happened in between the moves. So let's check it out. Nepomniachtchi, one of the players who might become the world classical champion if he defeats Dean Liren this year, against Daniil Dubov. None of them really need introduction. So let's dive straight into it. Nepo opens with e4. We have c5 by Daniil. Daniil goes for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, e6, and now pawn to d4. We have captures, and knight to f6, attacking the e4 pawn, Nepo defense, and now knight to c6. We enter the Tuđmana variation of the Sicilian, and now knight d to b5, going after this d6 square. And this is where the fun really begins. Now, the standard ideas here are d6, preventing knight to d6, and also bishop to b4, just pinning that knight on c3. But the Dubov goes for bishop to c5, sort of inviting knight to d6, and this doesn't come as a surprise to Nepo, as all of these moves were played fairly instantly. He plays bishop to d6 with check, and now king to e7. This is the main move in this line. If you go king to f8, it's still playable, but not as great, because king to e7 comes with a threat of just bishop captures on d6, so you are forcing white to decide what happens here. The problem with capturing on d6, and you might even think this is great, let's say captures, black will play queen to e7, and it seems like black is perfectly fine, but look at this, bishop f4. And there's no good way to get out of this. If queen captures, bishop captures, good luck getting rid of this bishop here. It will paralyze your position for the rest of the game. And even if you play something like castles, white will still just straight play bishop to d6, and it's not much better. Rook to e8, you want to unpin, but now just f3, and now knight to b5 is coming, going after the c7 square. And if you play a6, then you weaken the dark squares. You play knight a4, you go to b6, and again, not much to be done here. Knight c6, knight to b6, and you are stuck with this bishop and knight here pretty much forever. So that's why you have to play king to e7 here. And of course, both of them know this. Nepo blitzes out bishop to f4, e5 now. Now there's a threat of just bishop captures on d6, but luckily knight to f5 check is available, king to f8, and bishop back to g5. Now pinning the knight here, and here bishop to b4. And this is the first moment of the game where Nepo really starts thinking about the position, and it's not easy. The way to deal with this is that you have to play knight to e3, or you can play queen to d3 or bishop to d3, just continuing development, but knight to e3 is considered strongest, because you add another defender to the d5 square. You really don't want to allow d5, and if queen to a5, going after the c3 knight, you can even play knight to c4, go after the queen, and if captures with check, you bring the bishop back, and this is perfectly fine. Let's say queen d4, f3, and white has a very good game. However, in the game, Nepo decided to go with bishop to c4, and now Dubov strikes immediately in the center with pawn to d5, and this is a straight out pawn sacrifice, which Nepo will accept, only he will have to decide how to accept this pawn. And there are many ways to accept the pawn. You can play e captures on d5, you can play bishop captures on d5, you can play bishop captures on f6 to remove one of the defenders. Now, e captures on d5 is very much playable. Now you give up the knight here, white will capture the knight on c6, and now after the queens get traded off, queen captures, rook captures, you will play b captures on c6, and okay, nothing special happening here, but black, well, at least equalized, and is playing a position that he prepared. So here instead we have bishop captures on f6, queen captures on f6, and now bishop captures on d5. So Nepo wins a clean pawn, but now bishop captures on f5, e captures, and not queen captures on f5. There is a game that was played also in the World Blitz Championship, however, in 2013 between Pavel Pankratov and Eltash Safarli. that Safarli won very nicely with the black pieces. But here we have rook to d8, now not allowing this bishop to move, and Nepo again has to waste some time, and he spends a lot of time calculating this. It's not easy because you can't really defend the knight with your queen or anything like that, because once the bishop captures, if the queen recaptures, nothing is defending this bishop. So you have to be really careful here. Nepo decides to go with a3, and now the problem is, although this is a fine move, Nepo has 55 seconds on the clock, whereas Dubov well over 3 minutes. So Dubov pretty much played all of his moves instantly. Bishop to a5, and now b4. And this is the first move of the game where Dubov spends a little time thinking. He's probably deciding on knight captures on b4, and it is possible. Knight captures, a captures, bishop captures, and now you are threatening to win back your piece. You want some pawns, but the problem is white will just castle. And now after bishop captures on c3, you're going to play rook captures on a7. And that's it. Not much to worry about here for white. Equal material. It's well, not much for either side. So instead Dubov keeps the tension, bishop to b6, not even because it's the best move. Maybe it is, like the engine says bishop and b6 and knight captures on b4 are pretty much the same. However, it does require Nepo to burn more time, and he plays castles here. And now Nepo is down to 25 seconds and Dubov well over 2 minutes. And he plays bishop to d4. Now the problem is bishop captures on c3 is coming. You can't move the knight because of bishop captures on a1, and if you do nothing, again, if you try to defend the knight with the queen, then you, of course, black will just remove the defender of the bishop, and black easily wins a piece here. So after bishop to d4, Nepo immediately plays knight to e4, attacks the queen, queen captures on f5, and now bishop captures on c6. Very nicely done by Nepo. Now bishop captures on a1 is impossible due to queen captures on d8, checkmate. So okay, Dubov plays b captures on c6, and now the problem is how do you play this? Nepo only with a few seconds on the clock, he played his next move. He had around 5 seconds on the clock remaining, and he played queen to d2, probably guarding the f2 pawn. So it doesn't allow any bishop captures on f2, rook captures on d2 action, or rook captures on d1 because the queen was on d1. The problem is this was not possible for Dubov. If you just play queen to d3, let's say, this is not possible. If you play bishop captures on f2, just rook captures on f2, and now the black queen is hanging here. What Nepo did not have time to calculate after queen to d3 is that after queen to c8, now okay, you are threatening this, but and also bishop captures on a1 is a threat. You can play rook 8 to d1, and now after bishop captures on f2, rook captures and rook captures on d3, you will have some compensation for the queen, like it's a knight and rook against the queen, but white should not lose this by force. However, that's a lot to calculate with a few seconds on the clock. Queen to d2 was played, and now feel free to pause the video and win the game for Dubov while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that c3 is never a real option. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's queen captures on e4. Yes, in the serious time trouble, Nepo completely left the knight hanging on e4, probably thinking that he can just win the piece back by playing c3, then the bishop will hang. Of course, the bishop cannot move, but that's exactly what the bishop can do. If Nepo plays c3, bishop b6 guards the rook. That's what Nepo missed. So instead, rook 8 to e1 was played, rook 8 to e1 was played, and now just queen to f5, getting the queen out of harm's way. We have pawn to a4, and now pawn to h5. Now Dubov will just push his h-pawn and checkmate the white king, or something. c3, now attacking the bishop, but just bishop back to b6. We have queen to e2, and Nepo was so annoyed here that he blundered the piece like that, the little pawn that he was shuffling in his hands, he accidentally dropped him on the floor. Then he picked it up, Dubov played h4, we have pawn to a5, bishop to c7, and now queen to a6. We have h3 by Daniil, and now queen captures on c6, but this move wasn't really played. Nepo picked up the queen, and then the queen almost fell out of his hand, and then he tried wiggling it a bit, and by the time he got a solid grip on the queen, his time ran out. Okay, he plays the queen on c6, but it was basically in this position on move 27 that Jan Nepomniachtchi lost on time, but also his position is just completely lost. The problem is now Dubov can play pretty much anything. He can play h captures on g2, attack the rook here, and even after queen captures on f2, just rook h6. How are you stopping rook to g6? There's really nothing. If king h1, okay, you sidestep, but now e4, and again, there's no defense against this. So of course, terrible position, and due to the terrible position, that's why Jan lost on time after playing this queen captures on c6 move. And what a brilliant preparation by Daniil. It started very slowly. Like Nepo, of course, knew this line, and he knew how to play it very properly, but after bishop to b4, here he started thinking. He didn't know the exact correct way to treat this. He went for the bishop to c4 line, and then he just started burning time massively, which was enough, for it to culminate in this terrible error of moving the queen to d2 here and just allowing queen captures on e4. As always, Blitz is merciless. You have to know your stuff, especially if you play a sharp line like this. And in a classical game, Nepo doesn't shy away from playing all sorts of crazy lines, and a classical Dubov versus Jan match would be something. It would resemble Rapid and Blitz, only it would be absolutely precise, and it would be super enjoyable to watch. But here Jan just didn't have enough time to show why he is the World Chess Championship candidate, and he just got destroyed by Dubov. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see the actual footage, like I said, some 7.5 minutes, you will enjoy it thoroughly. First link in the description below. Do check it out. So thank you all for that. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Fran D, and I would like to thank Deepak Gangadharam, Ben Benjamin, Yu Young, and Arun Kumar Arumugam for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.